mushi. Na imara bagi bo kuchio. Over the papas, give me the hey. Them say Colorado make a kingdom gaga. People wanna me still take you back to mama. And hey, I say you are mixing like a DJ Akim will get something to say. When them ask him, he said it they make me higher. He they make me know they tire. I'm always burning like a fire. Now the thing when I desire. Oh, you help me sing them like a fire. Now be wait till you retire. Till you go do not to retire. Before your body go expire. He said the thing they make me higher. He they make me know they tire. I'm always burning like a fire. Now the thing when I desire. Oh, you help me sing them like a fire. Now be wait till you retire. Till you go do not to retire. Before your body go expire.
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way. Concerns you, you don't kill the law, you don't kill dreams. You don't land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
We're doing to curb the scourge of substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking, as well as getting your few things we do so that we can continue to improve on our set targets and even exceed them. This is our own way of serving you, society, and indeed humanity better. It's also important to know that this conversation is recorded and is streamed live on our other social media handles, especially at NDLA01 on Facebook and at NDLA TV on YouTube. We appreciate all of those joining us via those platforms already. It's always a pleasure to expand this conversation on as many platforms as possible. Now you can always go back and take a listen to the recording after the conversation. That's on the top of the hour. That's 5 o'clock where we round up the conversation today. And even share the recording with others so that they can also benefit from the insights, the knowledge, the facts, and the information shared by our guests and other professionals on this platform. Quite some of our professionals are already well seated on this space, and I have also seen guests from across the globe. So it's really a great pleasure to have this number of people with deep knowledge about our focus, that's our thematic focus of this program. Now, before I invite our guest today, who is already, who I have seen here, I'm sure he'll be crossing over to the speaker's corner shortly. But before I invite him to make his presentation, let's quickly remind you of some of the activities of the agency in the past week. That usually comes in our news highlight segment, which will be taken by two of our ladies, Netta and Peace. Let's get what you have for us, ladies, this week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's Xspace. My name is Netta Widozier, and here are the NDLEA news highlights for the week. First, the headlines. NDLEA intercepts cocaine in Saudi-bound religious books. Arrest bandit supplier with drugs in private parts. Recovers 500 grams of heroin in Bayelsa warehouse. Arrests 4. Destroys cannabis farms in Edo Forest. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have intercepted a shipment of cocaine concealed in 20 sets of religious books going to Saudi Arabia. The cocaine consignment, consisting of 20 parcels with a total weight of 500 grams and buried in the pages of the religious books, was uncovered at the Courier Company in Lagos on Tuesday, 15th April 2025, when NDLEA officers of the Directorate of Operations and General Investigation, DOGI, were searching through export cargoes going to Saudi Arabia at the logistics firm. At another courier company same day, NDLEA officers intercepted 5 parcels of loud, a strong strain of cannabis weighing 2.8 kilograms hidden in a carton coming from the United States of America. In Kano, a 22-year-old supplier of illicit substances to bandits, Mohammed Mohammed, has been arrested by NDLEA operatives on patrol along Bichi Kano Road while heading to Katsina with 277 ampoules of pentazocine injection tied to his thigh and private parts with sellotape. He was intercepted on Sunday, 13th April, while another suspect, Muhammad Abdurrahman Abdulaziz, was nabbed same day at Research Room in Kebe area of Nasarawa, Kano, with 68 blocks of skunk, a strain of cannabis weighing 30 kilograms. Not less than 557.2 kilograms of skunk, 5.6 kilograms of methamphetamine, and 29.8 grams of heroin were recovered from a house along Major General Isaiah Allison Street, Opolo, Yanagwa, Bayelsa State, where 4 suspects were arrested when NDLEA operatives raided the premises on Wednesday, 16th April. The 4 suspects arrested during the raid include Sarimiye Soa Curtis, Roland Prosper, Sarimiye Taripo, and Fidelis Ubelsla, while a total of 1,100 kilograms of skunk were recovered from a delivery van with the driver. Ismail Abdullahi was arrested in Surulere area of Lagos on Thursday, 17th April. NDLEA operatives in Kaduna on Friday, 18th April, raided the hideouts of the suspects, Ike Ani in Zaria, where no fewer than 31,950 pills of tramadol, 225 milligrams, and diazepam were recovered. In Kebbi, NDLEA operatives on patrol along Bagudo Road on Friday, 18th April, intercepted a vehicle loaded with bags of charcoal coming from Malabil, Benin Republic. A search of the vehicle led to the recovery of 97 kilograms skunk concealed in the sacks of charcoal. Three suspects, Abubakar Ibrahim, Mustafa Aliyu, and Bashar Lawali, were arrested in connection with the seizure. A 48-year-old Okafor Marcel was nabbed with 11.5 kilograms skunk at Abatete, Anambra State, while NDLEA operatives in Osogbo, Osun State, on Tuesday, 15th April, arrested Ajala Mercy with 43 liters of Skuchi, a mixture of black currants, cannabis, and opioids recovered from her room at Dada Estate, Hallelujah area of the state's capital. Two cannabis farms in Egbeta Forest, Ovia Northeast Local Government Area, Edo State, were raided by NDLEA operatives who destroyed 3,717.86 kilograms of the psychoactive plant on 1.49 hectares and recovered 136.5 kilograms of processed cannabis. At the Tinkan Seaport in Lagos, a suspect, Basharun Usman Kayode, who has been at large for 2 years, was arrested by NDLEA officers in connection with the seizure of 107 kilograms loud imported from Canada in 2023, while another suspect, Dauda Yakubu, who distributes illicit drugs within the Seaport community, was arrested by a team of operatives on Monday, 14th April. While commending the officers and men of the Directorate of Operations and General Investigation, DOGI, Kano, Lagos, Kaduna, Kebbi, Osun, Zone 13, Edo and Tinkan command of the agency for the arrest and seizures of the past week. Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, equally praised their counterparts in all the commands across the country for ensuring a fair balance between their drug supply reduction and drug demand reduction efforts. That's it on arrests and seizures. Next is the update on some of the other activities across the country for the week, brought to you by my colleague, Peace.
Thank you, Netta. My name is Peace the Pastor, and here are some of the other activities across the country for the week. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, is resolutely advancing its mission to combat the problem of drug abuse through the impactful War Against Drug Abuse WADA social advocacy campaign. This comprehensive initiative emphasizes inclusivity and collective action, mobilizing all sectors of society, such as schools, markets, motor parks, and worship centers, to embrace prevention and awareness initiatives at the grassroots level. By promoting a model of shared responsibility, NDLEA is building a united and determined front to decisively eliminate drug-related challenges in our communities. On Monday, 14th April 2025, the Lagos State Strategic Command of the NDLEA, in line with its ongoing...
Okay. This is 3...
Okay. By promoting a model of shared responsibility, NDLEA is building a united and determined front to decisively eliminate drug-related challenges in our communities. On Monday, 14th April 2025, the Lagos State Strategic Command of the NDLEA, in line with its drug abuse through education, delivered a WADA enlightenment lecture to students and staff of St. Michael Anglican Primary School, Ekpe. The session emphasized the significance of early drug education in shaping a drug-free future for young Nigerians. On Tuesday, 15th April, the Niger State Command took its anti-drug campaign to the College of Education, Mina, where students were sensitized on the dangers of drug use, with a focus on making informed choices while encouraging students to become WADA ambassadors within the academic community. Just as the Osun State Command conducted a WADA advocacy lecture for traders at Igbona Market, Osogbo. The lecture highlighted the role of market leaders and traders in discouraging the sale and abuse of illicit substances within the community. Further strengthening the sensitization initiative, on Wednesday, 16th April, the Directorate of Assets and Financial Investigation of the NDLEA paid WADA advocacy visits to executives of selected banks. The objective was to foster partnerships with the financial sector in the fight against illicit drug financing and to strengthen preventive mechanisms within financial institutions. Meanwhile, the Ekiti State Command focused on delivering a WADA sensitization lecture to students and staff of Community Grammar School Ikoti, Ekiti. The participants were enlightened on the health risk of drug abuse and encouraged to serve as peer educators in promoting a culture of discipline and sobriety. On Thursday, 17th April, the Cross River State Command engaged traders at Marian Market, Calabar, in a WADA advocacy lecture. The event underscored the importance of community vigilance and the need to report suspicious drug-related activities to relevant authorities. On Friday, 18th April, the Anambra State Command, as part of its efforts to reach transport operators, conducted a WADA enlightenment lecture for drivers and other staff at the Peace Mass Transit Onitsha. The lecture rounding off the week's activities, the Abia State Command on Saturday, 19th April, delivered a WADA sensitization lecture to youths of Adventist Christian Church, Ogbo Hill, Aba. The session encouraged this church community to incorporate anti-drug messages into youth programs and spiritual counseling initiatives, emphasizing that prevention is most effective when rooted in community values and faith-driven mentorship. That's the update for this week. My name is Peace, and I hand you over to our host, Mr. Femi Babafemi.
All right, thank you very much, dear. Peace and Netta, welcome back from the news and live segment. And let's remind ourselves about some of our rules of engagement on this program. Please note that when after the presentation by our guest, and then there we start inviting individuals to unmute themselves and make their presentation or make their contribution or ask their question. Please, let's do this in orderly manner so that we all can enjoy the conversation. We always appreciate your cooperation with us every week in this regard. Okay, before we go further, let's also tell you about the agency's call center. That is where we have a wide range of psychosocial support services through our experts right there at the NDLA call center. That is talking of counselors, clinical psychologists, psychologists, psychotherapists, as well as psychiatric doctors, all of them working 24/7 every day of the week to provide support to all that are in need of such services. All you need to do, whether you are the one directly affected or your friends or family members from wherever, from any part of the country, all you need to do right from the comfort of your home is to dial our toll-free helpline, which is 0800 10 20 30 40. The number again is 0800-1020-3040. That's our toll-free helpline. You are not paying for the call. The bill is on us. Yours is just to dial the number, and at the other end, you have our experts talking with you to assess the situation and provide psychosocial support services to help the individuals and their family members. That's that on our on our call center. Would also like to add that indeed that's the services provided at the center. Our services there are very language sensitive, meaning that if you can't speak English or Pidgin, our experts can address your issues or can engage with you through any of the three major Nigerian languages of Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. So this is to further ensure that this service gets to the communities and the grassroots, and we don't want to get anybody denied of the privilege or the opportunity to to enjoy this service as a result of language barrier. That's why we have to incorporate the three major languages into our services to ensure that nobody actually has an excuse not to seek help when they are indeed in need of such services. Now, I'm glad that we're at this point. Now we're set to get a guest speaker today to address our topic. Indeed, would be looking at developing skills against stigma in mental health and substance use disorder recovery. I must tell us that from our experiences, from some of the things we see on the field, from some of the testimonies, accounts of people in recovery, stigma has always been an issue, and this is indeed a major challenge. Nobody can deny that, and that's why we have someone who has a good understanding of this right with us as our guest speaker today, and that is no other person than Mr. Peter Oyebola, who is a clinical psychologist. Indeed, Oyebola is a passionate and highly skilled clinical psychologist with over 8 years of experience in both clinical and humanitarian positions. His professional journey reflects a strong commitment to mental health care, addiction treatment, and psychosocial support for vulnerable populations. Over the years, he has worked across diverse contexts, offering therapeutic services, designing mental health programs, and contributing to community-based psychosocial interventions. Peter's expertise has been sharpened through professional development and advanced training from globally recognized institutions. These include UNICEF, where he engaged in child protection and mental health support programs, Harvard University, that's in the US, with emphasis on trauma-informed care and resilience building, the University of Reading in the UK, where he explored evidence-based psychological therapies, the London School of Public Relations, which equipped him with strategic communication tools for mental health advocacy, and then the American Academy of Psychiatry, where he gained specialized knowledge in addiction treatment and psychiatric support. As an outspoken advocate for mental health awareness, Peter has been featured in numerous public forums, media engagements, and webinars. Through these platforms, he raises awareness about mental health challenges, combats stigma, and promotes access to quality care, particularly in underserved communities. His influence in the mental health space is further amplified by his mentoring role. He has successfully trained and guided over 50 psychology interns, many of whom have gone on to make significant contributions in the field of mental health and addiction treatment. Peter is a licensed member of the Nigerian Association of Clinical Psychologists and also holds membership in the prestigious American Psychological Association. These affiliations underscore his dedication to upholding global standards in psychological practice and his commitment to continuous professional development. Through his work, Peter continues to demonstrate that mental health is not just a career for him, but a calling driven by empathy, advocacy, and a vision for a society where mental well-being is prioritized and accessible to all. Please join me in welcoming Peter Oyebola as I invite him to unmute himself now. I will listen to him for the next 30 minutes discuss our topic for today, developing skills against stigma in mental health and SUD recovery. Please go ahead with your presentation, Mr. Oyebola. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Peter, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and go ahead. You are muted at the moment. You need to unmute yourself and then go ahead with your presentation. Can Mr. Peter hear me? Okay, pending when we sort that out, let me quickly acknowledge some of our compatriots. Okay, I guess it's his network. Yes, can you hear us? Yeah, you have to come back. I guess it's his network. So let's you please request for the mic again so that we can approve you, and let's hope your network gets better. Otherwise, we'd have to develop another um, means of engaging with you on this platform. I may have to ask Francis to engage to put Mr. Ebola on another line so that we can have a direct link with him rather than coming on this platform. Okay, but then before we get there, let's quickly acknowledge some of the senior members on the platform. We'd like to appreciate all of the people joining us, especially quite some number of professionals, especially Dr. James Komolafe. Dr. James Komolafe has been very consistent on this platform. Thank you very much. That's working deeply hand in hand with the agency to do quite a number of things. Thank you once again, Dr. James. Also seen his partner there, that's Dr. Mba Ogele Onyekwere. Thank you, Dr. Mba Onyekwere, for being part of our conversation today. I've also seen Dr. Abdullah. Dr. Abdullah is a consultant psychiatrist at the Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital, Zaria. Thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. I have also seen One Pen at Ahmad. Thank you, One Pen. We've also seen Sadatu Usma. Sadatu Usma has been our guest on this platform. Thank you, Sadatu, for being part of the conversation today. We have Majesty Batu, that's Asian Batu Oshioke Ajoke. Thank you, Her Majesty. We also have Yahaya Abdulaziz. Thank you, Abdulaziz. We also have Aladdin. We have Shaz Photo. Equally, we have Abdullah Omar Muazu. Tenant Art and Craft, thank you. We also have Oluwarotimi, that's at Oladeji Joseph O2. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of our conversation. Okay, I've also seen, quite a while, Lady Maria Elubuhi. Thank you very much, Lady Maria Elubuhi. It's been quite a while. I see you around. Thank you for coming around and being part of the conversation today. I've also seen our Commander Tinkampot. That's Michelle Ofoyeju. Thank you, Michelle, for coming around. Well, okay. I've asked let's engage Mr. Peter Oyebola now through another. Okay, I think he's back. Okay, let's hope his network will be stable now. Otherwise, him through another channel. We're getting him approved now, and in a short while, let's hope he gets stable, and then he can make his presentation, and thereafter we'll have our conversation. Okay, I think I may have to ask Francis to engage him on another channel. Just a moment. Okay, like I said, obviously where Mr. Peter Ebola is, his network is not stable, so we're trying to connect with him through another channel so that we can have him direct on the space rather than through, we may have to do a calling for him, and that's at the moment. Okay. Okay, Wes. Okay, let's take some more recognitions. Okay, let's Master Wef. Master Wef, that's at Oladunjoye _ Olawa. Thank you for being part of our conversation today. I also have Oscar Ismaila. Thank you, Oscar Ismaila, for being part of our conversation today. Abdullah Umar Muazu, thank you for being part of our conversation today. We also have Lovicia. Lovicia, that's at Lovett Haoma. Thank you, Lovett, for being part of our conversation today. Okay, we also have Al-Amin. Al-Amin, thank you for joining the conversation today. Okay, who else is there? Okay, Jidas Jr., thank you for being part of our conversation today. As much as we're appreciating calling out the names of those we have on the space here, we also like to recognize those joining us via our Facebook handle and our YouTube channel. We acknowledge and appreciate all of you. I've also seen another regular member of the platform, that's Pascal Iwebu. Thank you, Mazi Pascal Iwebu, for being part of our conversation today. Okay, let's see how Francis connected to. Are we on to Mr. Ebola now? Okay. Yeah, Francis, are we on now? Are you online with him now?
Yes, he can hear you clearly.
Okay, then if he can hear me clearly, then he can go ahead with his recitation now.
Okay, can I go on?
Can we go on?
Alright, well, I actually had it back up for this, but I don't just know what happened. I'm so sorry. Okay, first of all, I want to appreciate the wonderful work they're doing for us in this country. Personally, I see like we don't get to appreciate them enough. But when we begin to look at, each of the details of the work they do weekly, we know that they're actually doing a lot. Okay, so the topic we're exploring today, we're having conversation today, center around stigma, and I have to say that it's both an honor and with a deep sense of responsibility that I'm speaking on this topic, because this is something that affects thousands, hundreds of thousands of Nigerians, millions globally, right? And it's also something that also challenges, our core value as humanity, because some of the issues around this, right, revolves around, empathy and, how do we see other people, right? The disposition that we show to people who are going through some of these mental challenges and who are also recovering from addiction as well. Okay, so, like I said, so we're looking at the current stigma. We're looking at how do we address the stigma, right, that has revolved around the issue of mental health and addiction recovery. So the key we're looking at is stigma. So how do we eliminate that so that people can actually get access to quality help that they actually need? Now, it's also very surprising that, despite the advance in medicine, this is 2025. There's a lot of things that, that's been done in medicine, evidence-based therapeutic approach that has been designed to help people who are going through mental health stress and people who want to recover from addiction. But despite that, one thing has remained likely unchanged, which is stigma, just like what Mr. Baba said right here. Right, these have been some things. It has only changed just marginally. I can tell you, despite a lot of advocacy change when it comes to it, right? And we need to do something about it. We need to do something about it. And many of the reasons why this has really become very, very stubborn actually is because of the myth that a lot of people carry. You know, we say these are things that people hold that is not founded on truth, right? But people just begin to hold on to it, right? For mental health, people would say that, oh, mental health, people with mental health difficulties are dangerous. Who says people with mental health issues are dangerous? Now, this is contrary to what evidence suggests, because people with mental health difficulties are no more dangerous than people who do not have it. If you have people who have a mental health challenge and they are violent, it's also because that individual has a predisposition to engage in that trait, right? And you also hear for recovery, you hear people say, oh, people who do drugs or who are recovering from drugs, it's as a result of moral failure, right? And so people have said a lot of things, and these are just myths that are not founded on fact. And what we're trying to do today is for us to be able to work our way through about stigma. So we're going to try to look at this from two. We're going to try to look at it, what we can do as a society, and how we can also empower the individual themselves. And that is one of the things that we're going to really look at. Now, in order for us to be able to challenge and resolve stigma, there are three pillars. And this is going to be the focus of how we're going to go about this presentation. Now, these pillars are, we're talking about awareness, advocacy, and action. Awareness, advocacy, and action. I would try my best to break it down in a way that we can all relate and it can become some. So, for this, back on this. Because as we were not really that we need to, in order for us to address this. Alright, so now of this we hope that all of this will help us to really address the shame and the whole misconception that stress and the recovery from this is cracking now. Alright, okay, thank you. So, and whatever an individual, whatever an individual developing a mental distress, right? Or, being involved in an addiction and the person is recovering, that thing is unique to that individual, right? And that should be made with respect, not with ridicule. Because the focus, what we are saying now is that the focus should be on Not at the fact that, oh, this person is a bad person, you will never amount to any good into drugs and all that. The narration should be about, okay, so what happened that led this person to this? Because many of the times when people have mental distress, right, it's not because they want it. A lot of things happen that actually, led to that. And some of these things that led to that could be due to many of them like trauma, poverty, displacement, all of these things are different. So the focus rather okay, so what happened that helped, this person to be in this kind of situation. So I think I need to just be very, very clear on that. Now, so stigma, because number one, first one is awareness, right? So what does it mean? Because again, you will discover that most mental distress, right, is because of the misconception. People do not have adequate knowledge of mental challenges and addiction, what addiction is, and issues around. Because again, many times you hear people say that, okay, so this person, now why can't you just stop the substance? Because they relate substance use disorder, right? People struggling with things like crack cocaine and the like. So they find that, so why can't you just stop? Why can't you just wake up one morning and just say stop? So it's because you are not able to stop. And so that's what awareness. So we do enough for us to be able to start challenging some of these things. So that is very, very important, right? So awareness. And this awareness, this lack of awareness actually forms different kind of stigma. Now, I need to just explain just a few forms of stigma that we have. We have public stigma. Public stigma is the general perception, right? General perception of certain expectations or certain treatment, that should be meted out to people who have been distressed or who are facing a particular substance, right? Which further leads in the girls to shame, embarrassment, and a sense of unworthiness, right? So, public stigma, that's one. Then we also have institutional stigma. So how for example, our religious institutions, our churches, the mosque, right? Different institutions within our community, how do they see people with mental difficulty, people are struggling with that? So all of these are related to different kinds of things. And one of the one I need to say is that one that is also very, very very, very concerning is what I call courtesy stigma. So courtesy stigma is the kind of stigma that is applied to the loved one of people who have mental difficulty. For example, someone who has a mental challenge, so the family is ashamed of that individual, so they don't want to associate, or you say this person is going through depression. Say, oh no, he's just going through stress, because they don't want to associate, right? You see most of the time that people naming mental issues, right? There's usually no signboard at the entrance. Why is that? Because these are some of those things. And the reason why we're having this conversation is because we want to normalize mental conversation. It should not be shredded in secrecy, where people are, talking behind, closed door, and people are not able to openly talk about it, because when that is the case, it's only going to promote stigma that we're talking about, right? So, one critical thing I want us to speak here is what I call critical awareness key. Now, what does this one critical awareness key? So, what we're talking about here is that we're saying that, so we need to be able to separate the truth from the tradition. We need to be able to separate the fact from our belief, right? And then we need to be able to separate the behavior from the identity. The person that has substance use difficulty, so you don't call the person who has an addict a junkie. That person has a name, right? So that's the first thing when we're talking about. So then we also need to be able to ask ourselves some very critical questions. For example, what language are we using? What language do we use? This one don't kulu, psycho. Again, this language will promote stigma. So if we are very, very serious about trying to change the narrative, then we need to be concerned about what language are we using. And then again, to what bias do we consciously carry? Like I just mentioned earlier, that when we say that, oh, people have this, idea, or should I say, bias that people with mental difficulty, they are very dangerous, right? People who are depressed, they are lazy. You hear that many of the time because these people, they don't have energy. Or for example, someone is very struggling at work, and then they don't know it's because it's very, people cannot even complain, because if they complain, they will be given query. Right, people do not want to talk about their mental difficulty or their recovery journey, right? The struggle they are going through, the addiction they are going through, because if they make it open, what's going to happen? They're going to start them, or they're not going to approve them. So these are the conversations that we need to be having, so that people, we promote an environment, a safe space where people can really talk about these things, and instead of just, what have you done, like that kind of, things that promote shame, right? It encourages them, it encourages everybody, to speak up. Then number two is advocacy. So I think the first one I mentioned was awareness. The second one is actually advocacy, right? So when we say advocacy, what we're talking about, how do we equip ourselves, right, to speak, right, and support this area. Advocacy should not just be, restricted to policymakers, like people in governments, right? Advocacy is something that everybody needs to be involved in, right? Everybody needs to be committed, because that's the only way by which we can actually be able to make a significant mark when it comes to dealing with stigma within our community. And how can we do this? First, we need to be able to educate ourselves and other people. For example, how well did you know about addiction? Do you understand how addiction progresses? Because most times, right, when I work in a lot of rehabilitation settings, and then most times you hear families say things like, it's just a habit. It's like, this is not just a habit. There was a time this guy had a choice to stop that particular thing, right? And it's also that we usually say that there is an invisible line. We usually say that it's an invisible line from abuse to addiction. But you don't know when you cross that invisible line. But when that individual crosses that invisible line from abuse to addiction, that individual does not have the power to stop that substance on his own without support, without external support. You understand? That is war, because at that point in time, dependency will have set you. Right? A lot of things. So if that person stop that substance, the person will demand with withdrawal. So there's a particular reaction. So that person needs to give that substance, for that person to be able to be functional. Right? So we need to be able to educate ourselves, so we understand some of these things, so that it will be less critical. And then our discussion towards this thing will not be better. For example, people are depressed, we shall say, they are lazy, take over it, they are just so weak, and things like that. In that, I'm not just so. So that's the first thing. So in advocacy, so we that want to do advocacy, we need knowledge, right? So that's first. So the number two is that when we are open to, when we are able to share their lived experience, like what they've gone through, I can assure you that, in many of the settings I've been through, what seems to speak, right, in our programs is that when we invite people who have gone through this mental difficulty, when they come around and they share their experience, and they share, the distress they've gone through, how they've been able to overcome it, what works for them. People listening to them begin to have this sense of, okay, so if this person went through this and this person is able to recover and it's better, that means I also have hope. Right? So there's nothing about storytelling, right? So storytelling, social storytelling, so that's something that we also need to be encourage. So when people listen and hear some of those things, so the stigma and the bias that we already have begins to diminish, right? So living experience is very, very important. And again, so I mentioned it when I was doing the practice. So another thing is that when it comes to advocacy, is that we need to help this individual, right? So use the person, right? Not, for example, not a junkie, not that person has a name, right? So even people who have schizophrenia, which is serious mental condition, don't say schizophrenic. Rather, what you say, the person with schizophrenia, separate the individual. That's what I was saying. Separate the individual from, separate the individual from from the identity of that individual, right? Because they are not the same, right? So these are some of those things that we need to be deliberate about some of these things, right? What the language is, what we are teaching, conscious about some of the things. And when we hear people around us, saying some of these power language, let me do that word, right? We correct it so that they also understand. Because sometimes they don't understand, right? Then the other one, in terms of the advocacy, do that we can also empower them. Some of them are ready, of course, not people are not ready. People are ready, we can also help them, in a way for them to feel like an advocate when they have the opportunity, right, to speak up. So that can also be a way by which other people also, able to see that, okay, this is not a conversation that is hidden anymore, right? So we are beginning to normalize conversations around mental health. And I need to say that part of the goal that we want is that, for every organization, for every classroom, for every people can freely speak about the distress they are going through. So it's not nothing like I said, stigma thrives in secrecy, in silence. When you don't talk about it, right, what are you doing? You only promote that mentality because then let's go to the third one, which I think is the action. Now, talking about action, we're talking about practical steps. What are the practical things that we can do, that can help combat stigma for mental health and for people who are recovering from addiction, right? The first one I will say here has to do with cultivating the habit of empathic listening. What does it mean to empathic listening? So empathic listening means that you are listening without judging. Some of us, when somebody tells you, oh, well, see, what, I use marijuana. So, before you know it, you start judging that individual, right? We don't even listen enough for us to hear that individual, for us to even say something that can, encourage that individual, right? So we're so quick to judge, right? And that person just shut us. If that person is good, you're not going to tell anybody again, right? So, and these are the things that we need to start doing, right? So the other one is also that when you hear people, when you talk about mental health, like people who know me very well know that it's that certain jokes you don't make around it. For example, when you say, oh, the guy is polo, no, what's polo? You understand? So when you start, you're only start, correcting that narrative, right? Or people use some inappropriate words, right? I mean, we're not saying that we should fight them. We're just saying that in a very, very calm way, we start to change narrative and people start to make correction and adjustment. Then this thing is very, very important. As leaders, as organizations in our workplace, we need to make our workstation, we need to make it an environment that is conducive for people to speak up about their mental health. People should not feel threatened that, if I see that, I'm having threatening burnout, I'm having an alcohol, I'm not promoting you. You understand already, that's not a safe space. So there should be a safe space where people can freely talk about what they are going through, right? And then we can also train people. I think somebody mentioned when I was listening, this is peer support. Peer support is very, very important because peer support, many of us will agree that we are more comfortable when we share our story with somebody of our peers. So if our peers also understand mental health, that person can easily encourage us on the right steps to go. So that's also very, very important. So that's one way by which we can easily address the issue of stigma. And again, one of the other things is that we also need who have knowledge as mental health experts, professionals. So we need to also be the skill of resilience. And what do I mean when I say skill of resilience? Something we call distress tolerance, right? So how are you able to, take some of the distress that are going to, there are some distress that comes with the job that we do. But a lot of people do not know how to go about it. So if we know how to go about it, why can't we just say people around us? So that is very, very important that we do. Distress tolerance, self-compassion, how do you treat yourself? Right? So it's very, very important when it comes to destigmatizing mental health and addiction recovery, right? And the other one is emotional regulation, right? So these are things that if we do not know how to go about, then there is lots of mental health experts who can guide us. For example, Mr. Barrett talked about the profile line that we can call. So if we call this individual, I'm very sure, right, that they will be able to tell us the few things that can help us at no cost. And that is what we are talking about. Now, for people who are on this who are on this program and maybe they are going through any of this, maybe they're going through stigma, or they know someone that is going through stigma as a result of mental difficulty, or mental difficulty, or somebody is recovering and there's so much stigma around it. So let's talk about some of the practical steps you can actually do. So one of the first things you can do is that your support network is very, very important. Please listen to me. Your support network is very, very important. You need to surround yourself with people who are supportive. Very, very important. You need to have that. That's why I say that social support is very, very important when it comes to recovery and when it comes to destigmatizing some of these things, right? So people around you should be people who are not going to contribute, who are not going to add to the problem, right? So, but if you are struggling with that again, you can also join some support group, right? Like we have many rehab implemented group. You will find people who have similar challenges like you are going through, so and then they will also be able to help you like as well. Then another one is also by which you can also educate yourself on. Because when you learn about a lot of things, when you learn about the issues you are going through, for example, if you are going through you are trying to solve the issue of cocaine addiction, right? You need to educate yourself so you understand the good around. Okay, so if I stop, okay, this is working, so that again, so you are empowered, right? So those times when you look at it, like you're having intense cravings, as you look at it like there's nothing to do again, you understand some of these things better. So educate yourself, and if you also have the time, you can also educate other people. You can also educate people around you, right? So that is very, very important. I managed somebody who had bipolar, and then the stigma was so high that actually, going through a lot. And the issue was that nobody seems to understand the ups and downs, the mood and everything. And I often find that we have to invite somebody family and say, this is what this man is going through, right? This is how you can support him, right? But there were some people that we could not reach. And what this man did was that he has to give them printers to see. The printed of my and say, see, this is what it is. If you're going to support me, this is what they entails, right? So that is one way by which kind of combat stigma. So people around you eventually get to know, and then the stigma around it just resolve naturally. So then another thing you can do, right, or you can tell them to do is for them to practice self-compassion. It's very, very important, right? Practice compassion. So instead of internalizing some of these things, I'm no good. Some of these very, very self-defeating language that people are going through mental difficulty and they can recover issues. So you don't go through that. So rather, what you do is that you understand that you are not your diagnosis. Right, so if you have a diagnosis of depression, you have a diagnosis of substance disorder, right, you are not your diagnosis. You just happen to be expressing those things. So you need to be able to, practice compassion in this way. Then again, sometimes you might need to attach yourself. That's very important, because if there are people around you who are constantly causing you things that they did not, give birth to you, right, calling you addicts and some of these things, you can, in a very calm way, right, call this person and say, we said not in a fighting way, not calmly say, okay, that's not who I am, right, in that way. So you need to also be able to assert yourself sometimes, right? It's very important that you also understand that there are some things that you cannot control. You don't have control over certain narrations inside. Like some of these things we're doing now, is try to destigmatize issue around mental health and addiction recovery. But the truth is just that there are certain things you cannot change. Right, so rather than just worry about how everybody perceives you, focus on what you can change and what can you change. What you can change is how you react to some of these things that will make you get angry, right? Just let it go, right? That is very, very important. Then limit certain exposure. That's another place where you know that these people I like to bash it, I like to call names, certain platforms, maybe on certain community, don't join them. Right, because again, in that way, you'll be doing certain things yourself at that moment in time, right? Then you can also embrace. We have a lot of people who we call survivors, right? Who have we only say addiction is a journey, so we don't say this person has overcome addiction completely, but we have people who have done 20 years in recovery. right? These are people now that they own that story and they're able to tell people what is possible, right? So other people are also encouraged. So when you also embrace this journey, you can also be able to destigmatize, the issue of the issue that we're talking about, right? Stigma that comes from here. And then at the same time, you can also practice advocacy, whenever you have the opportunity, speak up, right? So we're saying that be a voice, right? So we're saying be a voice that speak up on mental health, right? Don't be silent when you should be speaking up. So some of these things are ways by which you can actually help us, right, to really destigmatize issues of mental health and addiction recovery. So I know that Mr. President said I'm just trying to stand up and be fast about it. So what are we saying? So what we're saying is just that every one of us has it when it comes to addressing the issue of stigma, right? Everybody has a role to play. And then we remember what I said that some of these activity last week it hangs on three fundamental things, right? We talk about education, we talk about empathy, and we talk about the advocacy, right? So these are very, very important. So whatever it is that we find out there, some of the things that people say around us, right? To people with some of these languages, right? Can we correct them? Very, very important. Can we create safe space where people can freely talk about their mental distress, right? Where people do not feel like they are going to be judged, right? That their mental health difficulty is going to count against them, right? So we need to create that environment. At least we might not be able to solve all the whole issue of Nigeria, but how about the people that are living with us? How about the people that are working with us? And these are very core issues that we need to talk about. But the truth is just that this issue, there are communities where we know that mental health difficulty, the stigma has lessened. But now communities seems like there's still a lot of ground to cover. But that is why we're having it. That's why we're having this campaign, that's why we're having this conversation. And then we're showing that mental health issue. In fact, we only see that there is no health without mental health. Right? If you have somebody who maybe high blood pressure, secondary mental health issue, the reason why we have an anxiety, oh my God, this is how I'm going to live my life. Right? So, so if people do not stigmatize physical health, that much even when it's chronic, so why? So, and these are things that people with mental health can live a life that will be rich, meaningful, and fulfilling, despite whatever they are going through. What they just need to do that they just need our support. And they don't need advocacy. And that's the point that we're trying to push. Thank you very much for listening. Hello?
All right, yes, I'm with you, Mr. Oyebola.
Okay. So, I'm done, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Peter Oyebola, for that extensive and brilliant presentation. I must indeed appreciate you for taking your time, despite the initial glitch, to give us all of these insights. Once again, we'd like to appreciate you for that brilliant presentation. It was indeed informative. All right. We'd like to appreciate all our compatriots across the world joining this conversation. If you'd like to interrogate the presentation by our guest speaker, please, you can request for the mic now. We'll approve you, but you remain muted until we invite you to make your contribution and ask question. But first, let's acknowledge some of I mentioned her name before. That's Maria Elubohi. Thank you very much. Maria Elubohi is it's a prevention expert and a consultant to UNODC. Thank you very much, Maria Elubohi. We also have Oluwatoyin Ajayi. Thank you, Oluwatoyin Ajayi. Harry, thank you. I mentioned Pastor Ewebu before. Thank you. Habib, thank you. Lovicia, I think I mentioned Lovicia before. Thank you also. Michelle, it's our commander at Tinkan in Lagos. Thank you, Michelle. Benga Ewoya, thank you. Ibrahim Kuru joins us from the northeast part of the country. Thank you very much. Joshua Gambo, thank you, Joshua. I also have our diaspora compatriots, Dr. Loretta Ekanem. Loretta joins us from Chicago, Illinois. Thank you, Dr. Loretta. Have Ubong Udofia, thank you, Ubong. Soul Whisperer NG, thank you very much. We appreciate all of you. Okay, let's get to the conversation now. Like I said, if you would like to interrogate the presentation by Mr. Peter Ebola, please do ask for the mic, and then we'll approve you, but you remain muted until we invite you to unmute yourself and talk to us. But then first, let's start with Abdul Malik Yahaya. Abdul Malik Yahaya, thank you. Abdul Malik Yahaya also has great stories to tell in this regard. Let's have your contribution, your question, Abdul Malik Yahaya. Please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, or good day to you from wherever you're joining us. I would like to start by commending the effort of the agency. Last week I was just waiting and hoping. I totally forgot that it was a holiday, so I was anticipating this program. By that, I would laud the efforts of the agency, and I would like to appreciate the speaker as well for giving this extensive speech, or should I say presentation, about stigmatization. And to me, stigmatization is slowly becoming a social norm, especially when it has to do with mental health and substance use disorder. And I believe it is one of, if not, the number one trigger on the road to relapse. I believe one of our speakers once mentioned that relapse starts internally before it manifests externally. So the first, in my own opinion, the first bias that needs to be stopped by someone in recovery or by someone having mental health issue is to check himself. That self-talk needs to be positive, because stigmatization of self is a huge, challenge as well to someone in recovery. To me, I oftentimes find myself having all this talk, but because of my coping skills, from the word onset, I was able to keep a positive mindset towards achieving that outcome, that my goal. So towards that, I would say focus is key. And when one is talking to himself, when that self-talk is occurring, let's try to be aware of the negative side of it and the positive side of it. There are many ways of doing that. I believe getting ahead of the story, wherever you find yourself among people that will stigmatize you, then put it this way. You can put out your story out there, especially at times that you were at your lowest, so that you won't even give room for people to try and make or take advantage of your own story. So by storytelling, it is a very, very good way to curtail stigmatization. Like I said, if I can recall, during my program there was this session we had on lapses, and I asked a question. The question I asked was, what is the major reason for people relapsing? Now, I've had a lot of answers, and I've gotten a lot of answers over the years, but that question still haunts me. It still comes back to me, and it has come to my understanding that positive, that internal alignment needs to be there for you to be able to at least cancel the noise, cancel the stigmatization of people around you. So and one good thing is that around the world, young people are now starting to discuss about their mental health, which is a plus. And this is my contribution, and I would like to really, really thank the speaker, the presenter, for a wonderful presentation. I've learned a lot from it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much there, Abdul Malik. I've also seen one parent struggling to get on board. I guess his network is giving him some challenge there. Okay, I have. Okay, let me quickly, before Dr. James Komolafe come on, let me quickly read this from our DM to Mr. Ebola now. This is from Collins. Collins is appreciating Mr. Ebola for his brilliant presentation.
committing suicide, wanting to jump in front of a locomotive. Behavioral therapy, you have the
pattern and mindset. Goods and services. It will be so creative. A man who has gone through all this, he will never think of drugs. Even when he thinks about it, it will just be on a suggestive note and not a dominative note, and they would never be able to influence him. So that's why we are raising this campaign, that every rehab in the world, beginning from Nigeria and with NDLA supporting us, we are going to float this on every platform to say, hey, as soon as you carry out your detox and every other thing, the next stage is fundamental framework analysis. Let's see you, who you are, for what you have, and what you can do, and profile you, position you, project you to become the same. So we will navigate you from the place of relapses to the place of responsibility. Let me stop here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Komalafe. Always interesting as usual. Thank you once again for your interventions there. I can tell you, Dr. Komalafe can, if we give him the whole space, he can go on for the next hour. We'll never be tired of him. Once again, would always appreciate your interventions and contributions, Dr. Komalafe. Awesome. All right. Let's take. We just have about 12 minutes left, so let's take. Okay, we have Winnie Ward. Winnie Ward, please. Let's hear from you. I believe our guest speaker, you may have to say something to Dr. Komalafe's intervention, but then let's have Winnie Ward first. Winnie Ward, if you are ready, please unmute yourself and let's hear from you, your question or your contribution. Otherwise, I'll ask our guest speaker to go ahead and speak to what Dr. Komalafe's contribution. I'm not a professional, but in what ways can I be of support to them? Thank you. All right, that's from Engineer Sinin. Mr. Yebola, please go ahead. Francis, please let's have Mr. Yebola respond to that.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yes, you are very loud. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so the first thing, right, the first thing is that we need to be able to, what we call empathic listening. We need to be able to, listen to them rather than judging, because usually, when we do that, when we come across as being judgmental, right, then they close up. Right. So that's one of the first things that we can do to really support them. And in doing that, we also focus on creating a safe space where people can be able to really express themselves. How do I know? For example, within where you are and where you live, right? What are the things? What are the things that they do? Some of the things that they do, those things how to be react to it. So if we react one time, if something like that happened again, would they be able to speak up? That's another thing. Then the other thing that we can also do is that we can also direct, we can also guide them to, for example, if the person, I don't know, they didn't mention the exact thing the person is going to maybe mental health stress or substance use. So if it's an addiction issue, you can also encourage the person to go to a rehab, right? And let them do an assessment. Because when you go to a mental facility, what they do is that the first thing they will do an assessment. So from the assessment, they will make a recommendation, right? So that is very, very important. But most importantly, that judgment and all that, right, we need to put them aside, and then we also need to encourage them to take it. So if people were more financially buoyant, but in terms of shipping a few, near and say, okay, you know what, please do an assessment for this person, right? How can this person be best help? So there are some few things as well. For example, talking about how to be certain like resilience. You may not be able to do that, but if you can't do that, or if you are not there, why not just post individuals to where they can get this help? So these are just few things I can just mention at this point.
All right, thank you very much there, Mr. Oyebola. Okay, let's have this one from Fola. Fola, I'd like to appreciate the great insights from our guest speaker. Thank you very much for being detailed and being professional enough. Now, my question is, in a lot of cases, the words we say or some of our dispositions sometimes could affect or trigger some reactions or might be categorized as stigmatization, even when we don't know the individuals we are interacting or relating with might be going through some conditions. In this context, how do we recognize these kind of mental health conditions and their symptoms in a way that will guide us to be careful with how we relate with them and the things we say to them? That's from Fola. All right, thank you, Mr. Francis. Let's have Mr. Oyebola now.
Okay, so when it comes to what we can do, so there are some things that it's just open knowledge. For example, there are some things what we can just take from there, for example, at least some of the very common kind of depression, right? The person does not have energy, the person, the mood is always getting low, the person cannot concentrate, right? The person, maybe the person is actually comes to the point of suicide. You know, there are some things that you can easily recognize, right? Do you understand? So if you have seen some of those signs, then you might want to, okay, what's going on? Do I want you to? But if you know that this person is struggling, how, in any way, the quality of life of this individual is impacted, right? The quality of life of this individual is. So, am I theoretical?
Yes, you are very loud. Please go ahead.
Okay. So once the quality of life of that guy, it's not the way it was. This person is very jovial, or something has gone wrong. This person at work, this person used to be very popular, but now the person now makes a lot of mistakes. You know, things like that you can find post. Now, but it's okay, what's going on with this individual, right? Do you understand? So, and from there you can actually, it's okay, this person. Can we, see the mental professional, right? Can we do an assessment at least? So from there, right, we can have a clearer picture of what it is, and the experts there, we guide us on the right course of action, what we need to do. I don't know if I get the question correctly.
I believe so. Thank you very much. Let's quickly have one last contribution from Teenage Art and Craft. If it's a question or contribution, quickly do that in 1 minute before we close the space. It's almost approaching the hour. Please go ahead, Teenage Art and Craft.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oyebola. Thank you so much for this. I really learned a lot today. However, so in my clinical practice, I observed that like one of the things. Please, can you all hear me? Hello. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so one of the things I observed is the fact that the younger generation, really inclusive, by the way, so they always they mention Burna Boy's weed often. More of if you ask them what substance are you taking, Burna Boy's weed and all. I mean, it looks like the music industry is also like bringing substance use into its own glamour. So, friends of the music industry is making it like, I'm not saying accusing them of making it wrong, but I'm saying, is there a way that you think the music industry can do better, probably in partnership with the NDLEA and all? So that's one. Then two, in terms of perceived stigma, so I observed that at the end of the day, sometimes stigma may not be really present, like in the person, but the person is perceiving it to be present. And it may be as a result of probably other comorbidities that the person has, like the person is currently experiencing. So how do we deal with that, especially if every other thing the person is actually like turning it to a negative perspective? So how do an individual come in like that? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much there. Let's have Mr. Yebolana.
Okay, so sorry, I just let me just paraphrase. I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
Okay, Tina, please can you recant so that he can have a good understanding of your question?
Oh, okay, so the first one is me talking about the fact that the adolescents and the younger generation these days are kind of it's like they see Burna Boy as one of their fans, like Burna Boy and other musicians. So it's like as we are trying to like work against substance use, and
One thing I can say is that we can increase awareness so that people are able to make informed choices themselves. Right, the same way Burna Boy, it is exerting some kind of influence on them. Right, some of these awareness campaign is still going on as well. Right now, because we just need to just keep promoting. So we keep hearing it from different shades. People keep talking about when they have seminar and all that, right? And when it comes to individuals who look at it like they are going that direction of drugs, so they found the drug life very very attractive, very very fancy. They will say, oh, you know what? To Rob Burna Boy is smoking, then pro, and I want to be a musician, I want to be like him, he's my role model and all that. So in that case, all we try to do is that we don't try to oppose them vigorously. What we technically do in mental health, which is called motivational interview, right? In which we try to present the benefit and the cost. Because if you push so vigorously, for a particular change, most of the time what you find out is that the individual with your posting that change you are pushing for, right? So when you present it to them, the benefit and the cost, right, and allow them, even if that individual at that moment in time when we are pushing for that change, that individual looks like he's not ready, it's okay. Just give it time, right? Because it's always better when an individual is able to evoke that motivation and say, this is what I want me to do, right? Rather than when you look at it, that person is being compelled. Do you understand? So, early intervention, psychoeducation is very, very important, right? Making them to be aware of some of these things. But if you see like, sometimes, sometimes, right, when you play videos of people who have gone that route and how their hand has turned out to be, sometimes they make it match again, right? Like one of my cousins told me that one of the things he did when he wanted to address this kind of things with the children was that he took those children to where people were having more continuously. People are doing what to be, in that way, right? So they were able to really learn and say, okay, I don't want to be like this, right? So I just need to just do things differently. So things like that can really be the difference. But if you feel like they are already into it, in that case, you might just need to involve a professional at that point. That's it for me.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ebola. There. Okay, definitely, I believe that that's just the right point for us to draw the curtain on these conversations today. Would like to appreciate our guest speaker again, Mr. Peter Oyebola, a passionate and highly skilled clinical psychologist whose professional journey reflects a strong commitment to mental health care, addiction treatment, and psychosocial support for vulnerable populations. Thank you very much for your time with us. We also like to appreciate all our experts and all of those that have spoken, especially Dr. James Komolafe. Thank you for your interventions every time. We also appreciate Abdul Malik Yahaya. Thank you. As well as One Pen, thank you, One Pen, for your contribution, and all of those who have joined and listened to this conversation on our other social media platforms. We appreciate all of you for your time with us on this program today. Like I said, this is where we draw the curtain. I'd like to also appreciate my colleague on this side, working behind the scene with me, Rita, Francis, Musa, Mahmoud, Dele, Kumbi, Neta, Victor, and the rest of you guys, without mentioning all your names. I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this every week with us. Till we come your way next week, I remain yours sincerely. Don't forget my Friday message, please. We always say thank God it's Friday, but please don't let down your guard. Stay focused and avoid troubles. Avoid those things that could that you will do and you regret moments or some days or weeks or even months after. Let's open and shine our eyes. Avoid contact or even experimenting with illicit substances that we know can be very costly, especially in terms of consequences later in life. Once again, we appreciate everyone who have joined us from across the globe on this conversation today. I'll leave you in the hands of my colleague Mahmoud to close this list. Now, thank you. Bye from.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Femi, the NDA's Director of Media and Advocacy, for guiding us throughout today's program. For more information about the agency, our listeners can visit our website www.ndla.gov.ng. Our social media platforms remain at NDLA_Nigeria on X, Instagram,
Simba, Simba, what you cool, Simba. Give you strong, give you loud, tell you send a one start. Chai, Simba, that's how you take start. What's in my eyes don't see. Simba, what you cool, Simba. No be say, I know they hear when them say make I stop. I know if it's stop. I swear I want to stop. Somebody help me stop. If anybody give me